Buenos días a todos, quiero darles la bienvenida, agradecerles por acompañarnos en este evento. Mi nombre es Alejandra Zapata y hago parte del equipo de Consejería Académica y Relaciones Internacionales de Colfuturo. Hoy nos acompaña Martin, quien es representante de University of Groningen. Nos estará brindando un poco de información en esta sesión acerca de la oferta académica que tienen disponible, cómo pueden iniciar su postulación, qué opciones de financiación hay. También estará hablando un poco de la vida, del trabajo que les pueden ofrecer aquí en la universidad y hablará un poco del descuento que tenemos con Colfuturo, el cual otorga actualmente un descuento entre el 30 y 50% sobre el valor de la matrícula para algunos beneficiarios de Colfuturo, dependiendo del programa. A lo largo de la historia, hemos beneficiado a más de 42 personas con este beneficio, entonces esperamos que toda la información que esté en este webinar sea de gran utilidad para todos ustedes. Al final vamos a tener un espacio de preguntas y respuestas, entonces si a lo largo de la charla tienen alguna duda o pregunta, la pueden escribir en el chat que al final les vamos a dar respuesta. Los invitamos a seguirnos en nuestras redes sociales, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, para ver toda la programación de Colfuturo, de los webinars que tenemos, y a registrarse en nuestra página web colfuturo.org, donde también pueden ver todo el calendario. Martin, thank you so much for joining us, for your time, and for your interest to present the institution. So you can start.
Thank you, buenos días. Mi español no es tan bueno como era. Yo vivía en Ecuador para un año, pero eso es 20 años pasado, creo. Entonces me voy a hacer la presentación en inglés. My name is Maarten Dikhoff. I work for the University of Groningen, which is a city in the Netherlands. I'm just going to give you some information about the opportunities you can have studying in the Netherlands and with us. So what will be covered today? We will explain where we are located, what we have to offer as a university in master programs, how you have to apply and the costs, some important tips, and of course there will be time for some questions. On this photo you see the amount of bicycles that we have in the city. I will get back to that later, but this is a typical day at our academic building, so you can expect a lot of bikes. A lot of international students sometimes put some distinctive marks on their bikes, so it's easier to find back. So sometimes you see a big balloon on a bike of an international student that doesn't want to lose his or her bike in the parking. So we are located in the Netherlands, a very small country in Europe, and we are located in the north, which you can see here. University of Groningen. We are over 400 years old. We were founded in 1614, and as you can see, it's about well, Holland is very small, so everything basically in Holland you can get from Amsterdam by train in 2 hours. So it's a 2-hour train ride from Amsterdam Schiphol, where the international airport is, and it's about 3 hours from Hamburg by car. And in the Netherlands, you have, it's the gateway to Europe. So if you live in the Netherlands, you can easily go to Germany or to Denmark or to Belgium or France. And it's all Schengen area, so we don't have internal borders all the way up to Russia. So in that area, you can travel around in Europe if you want to. We have a very good public transport system. If you buy a discount card, the trains are relatively cheap to get around with, and they also drive on time very well. So the public transport system in the Netherlands is quite good. Why should you study in the Netherlands? Well, we have a very high quality world-class education in the Netherlands. I will show you a slide later with our program or the rankings that we are in. We are a top 100 university, which basically means that we are in the top 100 universities if you look at the research output and quality of education. And we are also relatively cheap, which I will when you look at the tuition fees compared to other top 100 universities, for example, in the US. Well, we offer a unique multilingual international environment, meaning that basically when you come here, you don't necessarily have to speak Dutch, because the Netherlands is the #1 country in the world where English is our second language. So we're the #1 non-native English-speaking country in the world. Basically, that means that everybody speaks some sort of English. And so we have had students here who have been living here for 5 years, don't speak a word of Dutch, and they still get around. So you don't have to worry about having to learn Dutch. Our programs are quite intense. Most of our master programs are 1-year programs, but we also do have some research master programs. Those are 2 years, and basically those prepare you for a PhD research. And for those research masters, there's also a Colfuturo scholarship available, which we will get onto later. And of course, what might also be different from what you're used to is that the professors are very approachable, so it's not very hierarchical. The professors also like to debate about subjects that they are teaching in. So it's very important to know that the professors are very approachable in the Netherlands, and they love the dialogue with their students. So like I said before, we are founded in 1614, which makes us the second oldest university in the Netherlands. The oldest one is in Leiden. We have over 36,000 students, of which 25% approximately is international. And they are from over 120 different countries. We teach over 150 English taught degrees, including 35 bachelor programs. We have the widest range of English taught bachelor or English taught courses in the Netherlands, and we have 11 faculties and 10 graduate schools. And the graduate schools is where the research, the actual research and PhD positions are and take place. These are some awards and rankings we've had awarded to us. So we're number 64 in the Shanghai ranking, which is Academic Research World University ranking. In the Times Higher Education ranking, we're number 80. And in the QS ranking, we're number 128. And this really reflects the type of quality of education that we offer. So the tuition fee is around, depending on the program you want to study, is around 10,000 to 18,500 euros per year of study. And then the living costs is approximately 11,000 euros per year. So it comes to between 20 and 30,000 euros per year. And that is if you don't have a European passport. So if you have, for example, parents from Europe, and you can get a European passport, then the tuition fees are a lot lower, because then it's around 2,000 euros per year for the tuition fees. The living costs will remain the same. So as said before, there are some Colfuturo scholarship opportunities, which I will show a link to later. And of course, you can also ask Alejandra later about the opportunities that Colfuturo offers. Should you want to look for other scholarships, and we don't have that many, but if you want to have a look, you can always have a look at the grant finder to see what kind of scholarships are available. The biggest thing you should realize when you move to the Netherlands is that the most cost of living goes into renting a student room. And finding low-cost housing is crucial. So you really want to start early with finding housing. I can't stress that enough. Especially this year, we had some issues with international students not being able to find housing. Also because we had a double year of a batch of COVID of 2019 or 2020 who had online education, and now also wanted to move to Groningen. So this year it was extremely hard for international students to find housing. And it's probably also the #1 reason why students don't come to Groningen, is because they have difficulty finding housing. So if you apply to the University of Groningen, once you know that you are accepted, your biggest priority should be focusing on finding housing. Also, what is also different in the Netherlands is that eating out is relatively expensive. We have the Dutch culture is that you cook at home, and our supermarkets are quite cheap, but restaurants are quite expensive. So it's very normal for Dutch people not to go out eating maybe once every 2 months or something, but not more, because it's relatively expensive. So you can dig into your cooking skills if you come to the Netherlands, because that is the way we eat. So the entry requirements for masters, what is good to know is that you need to have, if you want to study psychology, for example, you need to have a bachelor degree in psychology. In Dutch universities, or in our university at least, it's not possible to, for example, study psychology if you have a bachelor in philosophy. So if you want to study a master's, it has to be in a related field that you have a bachelor's degree in. And it's also not easy to change academic fields. So you can't start, for example, a chemistry program and then switch to physics. You would probably have to do that year over then. So these are very important things to remember, that if you want to do a master's program, we are going to ask for a bachelor's degree in the related field. And also, if you want to start studying in English at our university, of course, you will have to have an IELTS test or a TOEFL test, depending on the program. But usually the IELTS test is a 6.5 on average and a TOEFL of 92. For a PhD entry requirements, we need a master's degree from a recognized university. And you would also have to write a research proposal that we can put forward to one of our professors who's in a certain research field. Also, you can, with the research proposal, you can contact the supervisor who can help you with your application. This is done through the grad schools, but each faculty has their own little way of working. So it really depends on the specific program and research that you want to do. But for that, you should have a look at our graduate school websites, which are located on our website. Like I said, for the Colfuturo scholarship, there are some scholarships available for a number of programs where the Colfuturo scholarship covers 50% of the tuition fee. The application period is from 11 January next year until the 23rd of February. You can find more information about this scholarship on the website of colfuturo.org. And the results of the applications for the scholarships are around the 12th of May. You can also have a look at our website, but I think the most actual information is on the colfuturo.org website. So why is it different to study at the University of Groningen compared to in Colombia? Well, like I said, finding housing is not easy. So that's something you really have to prepare for also mentally. That as soon as you know that you want to study in Groningen and you have been accepted, make sure you want to that you find housing. And probably the advice that we're going to give next year to international students is that if you haven't found a house or a place to stay by August, then you might want to reconsider coming, because it's really hard at some points to find housing that late, right before the start of the academic year. And like it says, many students face issues with not being able to find accommodation before they start their course. And it's one of our biggest reasons why sometimes people don't come, because they simply can't find housing. So this is something I really want to prepare all you for. If you should decide to study in the Netherlands at in a big university city, all the cities have issues with housing students. So be aware of that. How is it different to do a PhD with us? Well, we're one of the top institutions in academic research in Europe. We foster collaboration between researchers from different fields, and we have three very broad fields regarding energy, healthy aging, and sustainable society. And there are lots of different research teams within the grad schools. So you want to check our website out for the grad schools if you are interested in doing a PhD. This is a photo of the city of Groningen, just to explain how big our city is. It's a city of 200,000 citizens, of which 25% are students. So it's compared to Bogota, for example, it's a tiny, tiny city. What you see here in the middle is the city center, where the faculties of arts, behavioral and social sciences, law, faculty of philosophy and theology, and the University College Groningen is located. Right next to the city center is the faculty of medical sciences in the academic hospital. And then from the inner city to Groningen to the north is a bicycle trip of around 20 minutes. And there are located the Faculty of Economics and Business, Science and Engineering, and Spatial Science. Basically, you can get anywhere within the city by bicycle within 30 minutes. And it's usually faster than going by bus or car, because the city center has been closed off for cars. So you're only allowed there on bicycle or by foot. And because the cars have to go around the city, it takes a lot longer than bicycling. So yeah, bicycling is 70% of the transportation in our city is done by bicycle. Then we also have a faculty in Leeuwarden, which is another northern city about 35 minutes by train from Groningen, which is located in the province of Friesland, also a very old, nice city. And from the station to the campus is a six-minute walk. You can study sustainable entrepreneurship in the faculty of Campus Friesland. So that's around a 34-minute train ride by fast train. Then housing, should you want to find housing, we work with a foundation called SSH, which the website is here. Also, the municipality has a website where private homeowners can rent out their student housing. Most of the student housing in the Netherlands is in hands of the private market. So universities typically don't have their own housing. That's also, it has multiple reasons, but one of the reasons is that it's we're simply not allowed to to spend tax money on housing projects for students. It's a legal thing. So most of the housing is in the private market, and athomeIngroningen.com is a good website to have an overview of all the available rooms. And prices for student rooms range between 350 and 650 euros per month. And that's including electricity and gas and water and everything, and including bills. And you typically share your, you then have your own bedroom, and you share a kitchen and bathroom with 3 or 4 other students. And also what is very important when you apply or when you search online for housing is that you always should be careful with scammers. So never pay before you have actually seen the house, those kinds of things. And then housing in Leeuwarden is basically, in Leeuwarden it's a bit easier to find housing in general, but also this year, because we have the double batch of the people who also had online teaching last year, who are also looking for housing this year. Even Leeuwarden had some issues with difficulty in finding housing. But you can check out these websites, leeuwardenstudentcity.com and then Student Housing Leeuwarden. If you Google for that, you will have an overview on that website. There are some study associations. We also have the ACLO Sports Center, which is the biggest student sports society in the Netherlands. You can become a member for around 60 euros per year, where you can use all their facilities if you are into sports. And there's also an association of Latin American students in Groningen. Usually at the start of the academic year, there are some social and introductory events in the beginning of the year, such as the Keiweek and other information weeks also from your faculty where you will be studying. And then it's also possible as a non-EU student to work. However, there are some limitations on it. So you're only allowed to work for 16 hours per week. But some students, for example, find a job as a student assistant in the university or work in one of the many bars that the city has. And also once you have graduated for your master's or for your master's, then you also your residence permit will be extended for 1 more year, where you can use that year to find a job within the EU. And also for like a permanent residency, you must be earning above a certain amount and apply through an employer. And also you would have to live in the Netherlands for at least 5 years out of the top of my head, but there are some specific rules that you can look up online. Like I said before, the Dutch language is not a requirement. We do offer a MOOC, which is an online free course where you can learn the basics of Dutch. And also for our international students, we offer some Dutch lessons. That won't make you speak Dutch fluently because it's quite a complex language, but it's always good to know a bit of the language of the country you're visiting in. And like I said, basically everybody speaks English. We have a very big community of international students, of course. So also on the streets, you will hear a lot of English, and also in supermarkets, all the cashiers and people will also be able to speak English. So as long as your English is good enough, you will get by here in the Netherlands. And then, like I said before, the bicycles. This is actually my bicycle with the blue rims. It's my old city bicycle. Just to explain, most Dutch people have a very bad-looking, crappy bike, which they use in the city. And then we also have a nicer bike for like the actual bike rides. But one of the things in the Netherlands, what you have to be aware of is that bicycle theft is the biggest crime number, the highest crime number we have. That's the worst. Yeah, that's sort of the worst crime that we have in the Netherlands. So you want to buy a very good lock, and also don't buy. My personal advice would be buy an ugly bike, because ugly bikes get stolen less. But you want to have a good lock, and usually want to lock your bike to something else so that people can't easily steal it. You can also rent, if you're here for exchange, for example, rent a bicycle through Swapfiets, which is a sort of like a membership where students pay $12.50 a month, and then you get a bicycle. And once you're done with it, you hand it back in. And if you have a flat tire, they swap it around for a new one. So that's a very good deal for temporary exchange students. Buying bikes in the street from strangers is usually a bicycle that has been stolen. So we disapprove of that. Let's put it like that. Here is some information about our Instagram account, and if you have any questions in the future, you can also send us a text through WhatsApp or send us an email through perspectives@rug.nl. Or if you have any specific admissions questions, you can send them to study@rug.nl for specific questions about your application. And that was my presentation for now. So I'm going to give the floor back to Alejandra.
Thank you so much, Martin. I'm going to read some questions. We have one question from Andres. this university accept the Duolingo English exam?
No, as far as I know, we're not that far yet. So we accept IELTS and TOEFL. For the Duolingo, I could check, but as far as I know, it's not possible. But I can have a look and get back to you if you want. So if it's a different story, I will let you know. But I don't think it's accepted yet with us.
Okay, thank you. I have one question for you, Martin. What is your recommendation for people that are in the process of applying about the time of applying, of preparation?
Yeah, well, I always say the sooner the better. The earlier the better. So most applications for our universities open up on the 1st of October. And the reason why you want to do it early is because then you know very early if you are admitted. And B, it's also the quiet time for the admissions office. So as the closer to the deadline it gets, the more busy the admissions office gets. So then it takes longer for you to get your results if you are admitted or not. So if you are able, then I would apply before January. So basically now, because then you have enough, and then the admissions office is also can quickly tell you if you are admissible or not.
Okay, we have another questions. There are some time of scholarships, another.
Yeah, well, we do not offer a lot of scholarships, but I can put it in the chat. If you go to rug.nl and then go to Grant Finder, there you can see an overview of all the scholarships that might be available for Colombian students.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we don't. Okay, we have. Do you accept the TOEIC?
Sorry, the what?
What is the exam?
The TOEFL?
No, it's TOEFL. Where? This. No. This. TOEIC.
I have. Is it an English test?
Juliana. Yes, it's an English test, but
no, as far as I know, we only accept the Cambridge Advanced English, the TOEFL, and the IELTS. So for the TOEIC, it might be that we accept it, but I don't think so. If you really want to know, you should send an email to study@rug.nl, because then you get in touch with the admissions office who know everything about this.
Okay, and what is the specific requirements to applying for a master? For example, if they need an essay, need a letter, need a
no, it depends. It depends really. It depends really on the program, specific program that you are applying to, because each faculty has their own rules on application. But in general, the rule is that if you have a bachelor degree in a specific field, then you can from a university in Colombia, then you can apply for a master's program at our university. And for some programs, you will need to have a list of grades that you got, for example, for the bachelor program. In any case, you will need to have an English test result unless you had previous education in English. But basically, it would mean you have to send in a bachelor degree, a copy of your bachelor degree, a copy of your transcript of records, so the courses that you did with the grades, a copy of an English test, and a copy of your passport. And those are the four things that you need to get into most programs. And then some programs have additional things where you have to write an essay or a motivational letter. But we have over 100 different master programs, so I can't go through every one, each one specifically.
Daniel asks, I have an undergraduate in social communication and journalism. With that bachelor, I will be able to study a master in history?
Good question. It depends, I guess, a bit on the number of history courses that you did, Daniel. But if you would like to know, I will put my email address in the chat. If you send me an email, I can put you through with the right person from the Faculty of Arts who can tell you what your possibilities are. Because I guess it would depend on the number of hours that you already had history lessons to enter a history program.
Okay, perfect. We don't have more questions, Martin, so thank you so much for being here, and thank you for your presentation. Okay.
No problem. Thank you very much for your time and setting this all up.
Nice to meet you.
Okay. Bye-bye.